Hey guys, 2D Man here, and today we're going to be discussing what's the deal behind Dehya. What's going on? Now, Dehya is a character that many of us, myself included, were really excited about coming out, and we were really hoping she'd be really good. We've gotten some Sumeru characters, and they've all been pretty good, especially in their niches or whatever they be, whatever kind of suit that they sit in. I feel like most of the Sumeru characters have been really strong, so we were really hoping, man, we're getting a Pyro Claymore. I'm thinking she might be good. And unfortunately, we had some leaks a long time ago that were leaked. On paper, it wasn't looking too good. Some people, everybody was like, okay, this isn't new. We've had some characters in the past that got leaked, got changed, things fixed, yada yada. We're going through the same rinse and repeat. And so most of us were just thinking, it's gonna be fine. And keep in mind, I've been lurking in a lot of the Dehya main subreddits and some other communities, just kind of looking as to see if, I was excited about the character. I always like to know, do a little bit of research. So I was just waiting, maybe on some hopium that, the character would get stronger. And so we waited. And then the beta came around, we started to get some more data. Some people started doing some theory crafting. And then we got some waves of patches. And we waited. We got some more patches, some changes. And unfortunately, the changes weren't going in the direction that we were hoping. It wasn't looking too good. Her kit wasn't really meeting anything. A lot of people were maybe saying, maybe we're confused on how she works. Maybe she is going to be tricky. Maybe she could be like, Kazuha, where maybe we figure out what she's good at or something of the sort, or Kokomi or something, or maybe they'll get her stronger. But as time progressed, it just started to look really, really bad. And then not only that, but whenever they made changes, most of the changes were actually nerfs to the character. Now that brought salt to the wound, and many people started to speculate that maybe Hoyoverse was actually racist. Because, well, I'm going to say this a little ridiculous, but most of the darker skin characters, people mention Xing Yang, but they're like, okay, big trend, okay, whoa, maybe this is saying something. No, I don't believe that, but that was just something that was actually rumored and kind of stirred around for a while. Probably still going on around, but I don't know, probably somewhere on Twitter. But that happened, and big debates on what's the deal with this character, because why is she so bad? Because she's pretty bad. We could be getting one of the first 5 stars that's genuinely just really bad, like worse than most 4 stars. Now, there have been actually a lot of comparisons between her and her Pyro counterpart Xing Yang. Now, Xing Yang is notorious for being literally, I think, the second worst character in the game, behind only Aloy. And some people were going so far as to say she was almost on Aloy's level. But let's be honest, she's not as bad as Aloy, okay? Aloy mains don't hate me. But honestly, people did some calculations. It looks like sometimes Xing Yang can beat her in certain regards, but sometimes Dehya will beat her in other regards. I haven't done too much looking into it. But the fact that she's literally in that conversation just shows that it's pretty rough. Now, you could be like, okay, they're just going through the same thing. This character's going to get built later. Maybe there'll be a patch. And, on all honesty, I would love that. I would love to be wrong. But it looks like it's tough, because most of those characters, like, let's say Yelan, right? Yelan was released and people were like, oh, she's just a 5-star over-glorified version of you. Xingqiu is a extremely good character, so being on the same level as Xingqiu is a compliment. The same cannot be said about Xing Yang, okay, and some other things. And we'll talk about why Dehya is bad in just a moment, but the fact that they're making comparisons, Kazuha, Sucrose, hey, Sucrose is great, right? Most of those comparisons were with very good 4 stars, right? We have some very good beginner 4 stars that came out at the very beginning of the game that even a lot of 5 stars have tough times competing with, but everybody serves their purpose, and a lot of characters ended up being better later on. We did have some characters like Kokomi that ended up having a little bit more utility with corrosion coming in, and that was also what I was thinking too. I was thinking, okay, maybe Dehya has a kit that Maybe not, might not be good right now, but could be good in the near future. But the problem is, I noticed that she kind of plays a role of a tank, right? So she'll mitigate damage and take damage for your team. But that's not really a needed kit in the game currently. Right now, we don't really have content that's really tough to the extent where that's going to be a huge deal. And we just don't have enough roles to spare to have that kind of role used. Instead, we just have shielders that are just going to stop you from getting damaged at all. Or you can get a healer. The thing about Dehya is you kind of still need a healer because while she's soaking in some of the damage, she's still going to take damage. And that's not. It's still like. And the other problem is she's got lots of cooldowns. Really bad cooldowns. What really, I think, tickled people the wrong way and made a lot of people frustrated, and it also made me very confused because when I first saw her kit, right? I'll just say rumors. She she ascended with HP, but it was like nowhere in her kit aside from like a defensive kind of way, but it didn't help damage at all. Most of the time when they release a character, if they're gonna be, and most of the time if they're 5 stars, whatever they ascend with is going to help enhance their damage in some way, kind of, to give it some incentive, because most people like to do damage. That's not the case. And they did change it. They did change it, actually. It's funny because they actually changed your kit slightly because they noticed that all the beta testers just said, screw running HP. Like, why would you run HP? Nobody's running HP sands because, like, there was no reason. What are you going to take? Sponge more damage? Like, they were trying to do damage with her, and not only that, but because they were doing that, a lot of the beta testers were dying. And so they're like, well, I guess we need to change. So what they did was actually in the latest change, which I think was the last one, they actually made it so she had kind of like split scaling between HP and attack. And everybody's like, yes, we got the buff we needed. Yes. But unfortunately, it only increased like a tiny bit. And the other problem with that is that now she is technically kind of worse with Bennett because of the way attack scaling and whatnot. Can't really buff her HP. I mean, I guess if you have double hydro, but even then. So that's a problem. And then the other thing is during her burst, she's got lots of problems, so hang tight. During her burst, she can't even proc Sing Chu or Yelan, and that's because her burst animation doesn't count as like normal attacks, counts as burst attack. So there are limitations. So you can't really have access to Vaporize as excessively as most other Pyro units. So it's kind of weird. She's a tank that doesn't tank as well as shields, but can't heal, so she's not a healer, but she doesn't do much damage, so she's not like a DPS. So she's in this weird limbo of a hyper carry that's pretty bad. Right now I think, and people were complaining about beta testers showing footage because really there weren't really too many comps. Or even, dude, there was like no footage of her gameplay because straight up, nobody had ideas of what to do. Most of the time, like, and the other thing is, what you see is normally hyper, mono pyro teams is what you see her running in, and really, realistically, that's probably what she's gonna be running. I mean, you can run her in other things. In all honesty, I was hoping she would be a burning character because, like, by all means, we have so many pyro vaporized characters. It would be nice if we had a pyro character that kind of focused on maybe dendro reactions. We would think because she was Sumeru, but that wasn't the case. My theory, okay, because at this point, a lot of people are just like, "What the heck is going on, Mihoyo? What are they What are they smoking? Because what?" And many people have thought of theories. One big theory is that this is a character that will be good once Fontaine comes out and we get Hydro characters and everything's HP focused. Because as you might tell, right, we had the release of the game. You have Mondstadt characters, you have Leeway characters. Leeway characters were super strong. Then you had Inazuma characters with a energy recharge kind of focus, right? Because that's the Archon and that's kind of the focus. Then you go to Sumeru and it's more EM focused, right? And then once you get to Fontaine, it's more HP focused, right? So each of the regions kind of has a aspect of the game that they kind of more specialize in, I guess you could say. And so the idea is that once we go to a HP focused region, since they will get better, maybe is the hope, or maybe we'll get villain enemies that we'll fight that'll validate her role a little bit more. There are a couple other theories that maybe we'll get a new artifact set that'll make her better, but the problem with that is that, and that was the thought I had too, was that we'll probably get an artifact set. But hold on a minute, because the thing is, while we do have designated artifact sets for specific characters that are already pretty good, the artifact set is kind of just like icing on the cake to kind of make them stronger, right? You can still run 2-piece bonus builds and they're still pretty decent performance. The problem with Dehya is that like you would have to like amplify her kit quite a bit from just an artifact set to get to that extent. And currently I don't think there's really any artifact set that can, as of now, that does that for any character to that extent. So yeah, that's a tough part. So maybe they release a cracked artifact set that's so tailor-made for her. Maybe that's a possibility. What I was thinking was that it would be more of a support artifact set that kind of boost HP. So it would kind of help her in the way that like it boosts future characters, like Fontaine characters, because they'll want HP maybe. So it boosts HP, but then like she also benefits from HP. So it's like, oh, how convenient. So it's a kind of like a convenient set more so than a damage boosting set. So we'll see. I'll have to find out what they end up choosing with that. I don't know. Still trying to figure it out. There is the possibility that they change a lot of things before she releases, and that would be nice. I know they changed some things with Kokomi and Ganyu, I think, before release, and then Junli had changes made post-release. But yeah, I don't know. There were changes, but they weren't like super crazy. So anyways, beta's over. There's supposedly no changes. She's gonna release. We'll see what she's like. I don't know. Fingers crossed, guys. Hope for the best. And there's gonna be a storm that ensues. We'll see what happens. Maybe we're all fools. Maybe we're all wrong, and she ends up being great down the road. Wouldn't that be wonderful? But yeah. Anyways, guys, that's it. That's all I wanted to talk about. I thought it was an interesting topic. Let me know what you guys think about it. Let me know your thoughts. If you're frustrated, that's fine. I'm kind of in the same boat. Kind of disappointed because she was the one I was the most excited for. But anyways, take it easy. Peace. I'll catch you later.